right now. He's gonna have to bid. Oh, just a football.
Huge layout block. Unbelievable stuff on the front corner of the end zone.
Maybe just that boost of energy they needed. Huge swing pass and a great grab there from Steer.
Yeah, 5 flat line. If it goes back, it's fine. No line. Go.
And what an opening point for MDC S.W.O.R.D to come out in the bronze final with an early score against Credo. 2022 Division 1 Mixed Ultimate Championships. Credo have had a very storied performance in the tournament so far after a hard-fought game against Huripari, who will be going on towards the finals. MDC S.W.O.R.D losing to their southern counterparts, MDC Shield, to meet Credo in the bronze final. Huge layout, but it's not going to be enough. Credo not able to reel that one in. Finn Walker with a great play on the disc. And so it's Credo's second match against a relatively lean roster. We'll see whether or not they've got the numbers to come out of the otherwise very dominant MDC S.W.O.R.D. Taylor Arts with a great play, just edging out Anna Crosby with the disc. Altaf Ali putting pressure on the mark. Hodgman with the disc. Threads one through. But the disc will go back. Looks like a pick may have been called. Hodgman goes far side. Holly Mace with the block. Huge play from Holly Mace to get possession back for MDC S.W.O.R.D. Crosby pushing deep. He's got Walker on his hind leg, but it's not going to be enough as the disc fades out towards the far sideline, giving possession back to Credo. That is going to be the score. Finn Walker with the disc for Credo, putting one on the board. 1 against 1 for S.W.O.R.D. Hugely dynamic play on display from the Credo side. Lots of layouts, aggressive defense. Able to generate the turn and go back the other way. We'll see that again. Hodgman just puts it up. And that is Cording with the assist for Finn Walker. Oh no, Edwards, sorry. Steps away from Claire Gibson, able to find the nice opening there for Finn Walker to put one on the board for Credo. And there's the pull from Credo. Marvellous DC S.W.O.R.D from Auckland. Troy Stevenson to pick up and initiate. The long arms of Lee trying to shut down his options, but he has to go towards the far sideline. Finds Charlesworth. To Yo, facing off against the Credo zone. Back over the top to Yo. Unleashes a big backhand. Troy Stevenson in the deep space. Hodgman takes a bite, but it's not enough. Stevenson takes MDC S.W.O.R.D to 2 over the Credo 1.
And we have Credo running down on offense, looking to level the scores again with Natalie Tiang, Jack Lewis, Bryn Douglas, Richard Fernando, Martin Barnes, Becky Farr and Samuel Tier-Lenarts.
Ali with the pull for MDC S.W.O.R.D. Lydia, it is a pleasure to have you back in the booth for this bronze final between Credo and MDC S.W.O.R.D.
It's good to be back to support Credo with this last match of the tournament.
Pull goes a little bit out of bounds. It's going to be bricked. So brought to a space in the midfield about 18 metres in front of the end zone.
With Bryn Douglas starting with the disc.
Supported by Natalie Tiang as a reset. Pressured down by Anna Crosby and Peter Boardman to kick off the defense.
Becky Farr going long instantly and the shot goes up and she grabs it.
Great
for the
work.
Score.
Amazing work by Credo. Great find. Holly Mace in hot pursuit, but she's not going to be able to shut down the speedy Farr.
That was a clinically quick offense. One
Yeah.
throw.
Yeah, absolutely was. Straight off the brick mark. So at a minimum, we're looking at, 46 metre throw minimum?
And to hit just where Becky Farr wanted it. Pretty impressive by Bryn Douglas too.
And that is Bryn Douglas doing what Bryn Douglas does. We've seen him put up some amazing shots. And there is yet another one. Absolute pinpoint shot by Bryn Douglas. Every time we've seen him on screen. And to be fair, for Credo Lions, he's playing a lot of points. Using that youthful athleticism and the skill with the disc to just really pick apart opposition defenses. Finding Becky Farr open in the deep space. Despite great pressure from number 45, Mace for MDC S.W.O.R.D. Puts a score on the board for Credo. Trading at the moment, 2-2.
And Bryn Douglas again with the pull. Shooting it far downfield.
Boardman and Crosby. With Charlesworth. Fulton on the far sideline. Glad to see Kat Fulton returning to the field. Stevenson puts it up, but there's a lot of edge.
And two Credo players in the way of that one.
Taylor Nards and Fernando making sure Altaf Ali doesn't get a touch.
That is the trouble with having two players go deep. Quite often you end up with two defenders getting in the way. Becky Farr wants to do it again, but no, that just does not go up.
Douglas shut down on an upline by Peter Boardman, but the reset goes awry, giving it back to S.W.O.R.D. And Richard Fernando against Ali.
Bryn Douglas bids, but does not get it. And it goes up.
Big lefty backhand. Huge coverage. Golby looks like he got a touch. Shuts that one down.
Again, we had two Credo defenders looking at that disc.
Such a clean play by Golby. Just great early timing on that disc. Goes up before Crosby gets a touch, before Crosby can close his hands on it. Credo to take possession. We know that Douglas has the range. Becky Farr's already testing deep. Fernando on an undercut. Manages to circle around Crosby, but he's not an option. It's Taylor Nards.
Jack Lewis no, that's Bryn Douglas going long. Jack Lewis tripping a little.
And a pick has been called, so the movement of a downfield player, the defender, to pursue their offensive counterpart was impeded by the movement and positioning of another player. It looks like there was also a potential foul called on the throw. And so, being a self-officiated sport, the only refs you'll see are the 14 players on the field who take it upon themselves to resolve calls between themselves when they arise. We'll see play resume very shortly. McGuinness pushing deep.
And the turn.
Kat
Fuller.
Fulton. Fulton makes her name known. We haven't seen a lot of her this weekend. I believe she's returning from an injury, but to the surprise of no one, she's putting in some great work.
Puts it up.
Shifts around Becky Farr to find Boardman open in the end zone. S.W.O.R.D back up by 1.
It's good to see Credo getting some turns. Will need to capitalise off them though to get their break.
Now the excitement of the bronze final often lights a fire under teams who really hungry to try and walk away with a medal around their necks as they go home.
Yes.
We have seen Credo go from strength to strength throughout the course of this tournament. 2 universe point finishes yesterday, and a really great showing against Huripari, who may be tipped to win the tournament overall. To see them in this bronze final, generating those turns, playing aggressive and playing secure offense is a great thing to see, especially against a team like MDC S.W.O.R.D.
We see Chris Barker running on field to share some of his strategic wisdom with MDC S.W.O.R.D, though a rather brief chat from him today.
Anna Crosby with the disc.
On the Credo line, we have Theo McIntosh, Justin Lee. Oh, my eyesight is struggling. Katia Lenartz, Caleb Milne, Megan Edwards, Sam Cording, and Tiara Fry McGuinness.
And we are going to see how Taylor Lenartz, Edwards, and Milne start off the offense. Going around, find Cording, near sideline, pressured by Swinson.
Who finds Megan Edwards in the middle. Looking downfield again. Putting it up for Justin Lee, who shows some incredible athleticism to rein that throw in.
What hang time was that? Goes long, looking for Justin Lee.
Oh.
But it's Owen Sun, who might be calling an injury. A little bit of a questionable landing. And I have finally, Lydia, been corrected. It is McIntosh. Theo's flatmates even made some signs to correct us during the last live stream. No information is perfect. We here in the commentary booth do take great pains to make sure that we're pronouncing players' surnames as correctly as possible. We were intentionally or otherwise fed incorrect information, so that has finally been corrected. It is Theo McIntosh on the field. I bet he'll be proud to hear that. But great block by Owen Sun. It's going to generate the turn for S.W.O.R.D. But with a lean roster, we'll see that again. Great bid, good timing. Had Yo as a backup. But with such a lean roster for the MDC S.W.O.R.D side, every little injury like that is going to start stacking up. It's going to be interesting to see whether or not they'll have the legs to carry them all the way through to a win for this final match of the tournament for these two teams. Credo playing a loose match defense. They're able to recenter to pick up the disc in their own end zone. It's Ali and Yo. Yo with the disc.
Still not out of the end zone. And a beautiful bid.
Bender takes to the ground to keep that one in hand.
And another layout to keep possession.
Great work by Ali. Yo puts a big shot up.
To the sideline.
Looks like that Credo may have got a touch on that with the layout, but either way, the throw goes awry, so possession will go back to Credo with an opportunity to tie things up here. And as the disc went out early, they're going to get a lot of that yardage back. It's not going to come back too far from the end zone. We've got Edwards, who goes around to Milne. Taylor Nart's available as reset. Milne says, I don't need you. Wide open for Cording and the score. Huge
Clean
bid.
catch.
Huge bid by Bender, but it's not going to be enough.
Yes. when you do get that turn so close to your end zone, you know you don't have to do anything fancy. You just have to be patient and take that open shot. You don't have a field to cover first.
And when you've got a player like Courting who's quick off that first step and can get away, they can shake loose of the defender, you don't have to worry about multiple cuts in and out, up and down, all around the field to create that space. Quite often it is just a pull the trigger and go. Milne saw the opportunity. And Courting reels it in. Great work by Credo there to bring it back to a tied game in the bronze final. So it's Courting again with Besseling, Edwards, McIntosh, Walker, Hodgman and Taylor Nartz on the defensive line against the dwindling numbers of MDC S.W.O.R.D. Some very familiar names here. Charlesworth with an unfortunate fumble off the first pass.
And that is why you want early pressure on defense.
Just wasn't a super clean offload, but Hodgman's going to pick up.
To Taylor Nartz in the center.
Lasers one through. McIntosh can't keep it in hands. Boardman's going to get another opportunity. He's currently unpressured, but there's not enough developing in the downfield space. It's Troy Stevenson with the disc facing down the Credo zone.
Puts it up and around.
Finds Ali, marked now by Adele Besseling.
He again swings it back to the other sideline.
There are quite a few shooters on this S.W.O.R.D. side. They're just needing an opportunity to develop in the downfield space in order to capitalize on their arsenal of throws. Cat Fulton crashing through the middle of the zone, trying to stretch the defense and open things up. But it's Ali at the moment. Goes wide to Mace.
And MDC finds some movement up the far sideline.
Scuba over the top to Charlesworth. Completes the possession this time. Questionable offload, but Stevenson puts one up to Cat Fulton on the far sideline.
Miles of space, but no continuation option just yet.
Quick fire through to Charlesworth. Bounces one to Boardman, who throws it away. Very low, blady shot, trying to find Cat Fulton.
Fulton tried to clean that up, but it was just too low. And a timeout by Nick Hodgman.
Credo calling a timeout. A long point, this one has been quite a few turnovers. I think even a long point when you're maintaining possession the entire time isn't nearly as exhausting as having to make that switch between offense and defense. A team could string together 50, 60 passes on offense. They're not necessarily going to need to call a timeout if they're constantly working up towards the zone. But having possession, giving it away, getting it back, giving it away again, starts to take its toll. So great call by Hodgman to just give these teams a moment to catch their breath. Which team is going to be the one to really tighten up the focus here?
Credo will probably be looking to capitalize on this possession, maybe call a set play, really put it on the board efficiently and try and turn the scoreline in their favour.
Yeah, we haven't seen Hodgman really drop some long options. He's not the same kind of aggressive shooter that we see in Bryn Douglas and I guess even Megan Edwards, but he's a very, very safe and a good anchor for the Credo side. He's always available as a reset. He hasn't had many turns. He's playing incredibly consistently and safely, which is a thing that Credo need when that temper starts to flare up, that energy starts to build up, especially when they're in such a tightly contested game for a medal.
you definitely need a mix in your handler space of that consistency and stability and conservative and that aggressive. You do need those aggressive players to shoot those shots, but equally you need your Nick Hodgmans to play it out stably.
I could not agree more. Every team needs a Nick Hodgman. And once again, it's Edwards, Taylor Nards, Hodgman to kick off the Credo offense. Kat Fulton marking up against Taylor Nards. That would be a good matchup to see. Boardman applying pressure to the disc, and Gibson trying to shut down Megan Edwards as a reset option. Credo coming out in a deep horizontal stack.
Ooh, feeds it through to Megan Edwards, who finds Walker on the sideline. Centering it back to Nick Hodgman, who shoots through to Megan Edwards again, who looks for Sam Cording in the end zone, but just slides off the fingertips.
What a great pressure play by Holly Mace to get up underneath that one. Cording had a great run, but just wasn't able to walk away with that one. So we're back on defense for Credo. Claire Gibson alone in the deep space, trying to pull Nick Hodgman out of the mess to give those upfield players a little bit more room to work. Boardman to Ali.
Going backwards deeper into the end zone before swinging it around the zone.
A big fake by Stevenson, shift Bessling out of the way, but with nothing downfield, it has to be a reset back to center field.
Oh, and a cheeky scuba over the top. Shooting up the line. Sam Cording looking interested in that, but not quite there.
And probably a safe play as Ali goes up, but it's Boardman with the shot. Never touches back in bounds.
Great chase by Claire.
Yeah, Claire Gibson, number 38 for MDC S.W.O.R.D. Testing that deep space, pulling Nick Hodgman out of the way, still available as an option.
And Nick Hodgman shooting it upfield. But Sam Cording unable to reel that one in.
A little bit interesting that the disc was brought back in there, as it never crossed back in bounds, but it's going to give S.W.O.R.D an opportunity to put one up on the board with Stevenson in the midfield. Ali to Boardman. Stevenson wants the disc. Boardman a little bit slow.
Throws a blade and finds.
All tough Ali for the score. MDC S.W.O.R.D back up by 1. Still a narrow margin, still anybody's game.
Have you managed to work out what they're singing yet?
Canterbury. Huge cheer to get all the Credo onsiders and anyone watching from the fields really drumming up that hometown energy to give them the advantage in this game.
They will end up being the highest placed South Island team in this tournament, so they are representing the South Island in this match.
The dreams of Southland up for grabs here. Potentially walking away with a medal if Credo can keep their focus. S.W.O.R.D, their numbers slowly dwindling. The last few resolute, managing to play through injuries and exhaustion. The drizzle visible on your screen right now can't be comfortable to play in when you're tired, when it's day 3 of a tournament, when your joints, your ankles, your shoulders, you're really starting to feel that fatigue build up, but it doesn't look like there's been any drop in performance as Yo puts up a pull for Tiang.
Centers it to Douglas. Looking downfield, mark not quite set.
Barnes was an option for early continuation there, but he decided not to take it.
Throws the scuba and finds Richard Fernando. He shoots it off to Tiang, looking for the continuation, but instead
Barnes covered tight by Bender, so that's not an option. They push towards the far sideline instead.
Sam Taylor-Lenart's looking to get it off that sideline and sending it long.
Jack Lewis underneath.
Oh, and a beautiful bid, but
it's James Crosby who's going to come away with the victory in the sky battle there.
looks for a second bid but can't quite get there either.
Amazing timing on both of those jumps. It really speaks to the athleticism that both those players seem to know their range so well.
Definitely.
Ali to the far sideline. Yo to Ian Stewart in the midfield, marked by Taylor Lenarts. Finds Tessa Swinson. Comes wide to Anna Crosby.
Oh!
Huge play. Looks like a foul has been called. Fernando trying to bring that disc down over Yo.
Flying through the air to do so.
Huge play, but definitely a call on that one. Both players airborne during that. Both players had lines towards the disc. There weren't any adjustments to try and to pick those. Each player had committed to those bids, but whether or not it was clean enough, whether or not there was contact, and whether that contact had an impact on the play.
Fantastic read by Fernando to see that that disc was going up. The question is, did he do it cleanly?
Yeah, no easy resets for MDC S.W.O.R.D is the motto for Credo at the moment. As Crosby tries to put one wide. Just maybe a little bit much air underneath that disc gave Fernando the space to close in and pressure that play, but just need these players to make a call as to what the outcome's going to be.
Looks like it's going to be a foul contested, so the disc goes back to Crosby.
Yep, so play will return to the last uncontested point. Crosby probably going to be extra mindful of that reset now, making sure it stays low, moves quickly to find one of her teammates. Young checks the disc in. It's Ali with it this time, marked by Bryn Douglas.
Shoots it up, finding Tessa Swinson, marked by Becky Farr.
Ali with a great upline cut.
Ooh. There'll be a call there, a foul uncontested. It did appear the contact was incidental afterwards, but did cause him to drop the disc. Good spirit by Jack Lewis there.
We're going to get to see that again.
He tried to stop his motion, but couldn't quite get there.
Great vision by Lewis. Seeing that disc was going to go flying.
And he puts it up, and
it's Crosby who comes down with it.
And that is a break for MDC.
So that is 5 over Credo's 3 at the moment. 33 minutes into our 100-minute game, our game to 15. Just really great work by Jack Lewis on that one. He saw that the disc was a very leading pass, thought he might have had a play. He did try and pull out right towards the end, but his momentum, the sheer foot speed, gave him a little bit too much zip. He wasn't able to pull out of that contact. It's unfortunate that there was that contact between him and Ali, but resolved amicably and very quickly, which is what we want to see here at such a competitive level of Ultimate.
Yes, immediately standing up and going, yes, no, that was my fault. I will do a foul uncontested straight away. Perfect spirit. Credo will be looking to hold the possession this one to make sure they don't let the momentum shift too far in MDC's favour.
And MDC S.W.O.R.D, just a note as well, their previous semi-final was against their southern counterpart, MDC Shield. At one point, they were trading points with their opposition. So I think when I had an opportunity to go and look at the score, it was 10-10. So even though they're on a reduced roster size, they've got those injuries, they've got that fatigue, they're still an incredibly competitive side. And it does speak to the grit that they've got on display to keep pushing every team as hard as they are. Tiang taking to the ground to keep that one in hand, finding Fernando on the near sideline.
Looking at the big options, not shooting them, telling Tiang to go up line, finding Bryn Douglas instead.
He's a shooter, ladies and gentlemen, looking for Sam Taylor-Nards.
And he keeps it in bounds.
Credo to go for his momentum,
And
carrying
he's
him all the way
hiding
behind
behind
the
the
tree.
tree.
A little less Sam Taylor-Nards, a little more Sam Trio-Nards. Why are you hiding your face, Sam? Be proud, buddy.
Planning to run away with the disc. Say, last point wins team, we just won it. Beautiful read. He seems to pick up these discs that aren't necessarily coming in at the nicest angle and worry about his body awareness to stay in field all at once.
Just a natural talent for reading the disc and making sure those secure hands find those difficult discs, as you say, and such a sweetheart as well. I'm a fan of Sam Taylor-Nards, I'll be honest.
I am a fan too. He has definitely helped me a lot this season with great technical tips on and off the field.
And that really is one of the other key things to consider, that when you've got players at that level, recognizing that there's a community that they feel obliged to give back to in terms of developing other players. But it's Te Atawhai McGuinness with the pull.
And it's high, dropping now down near the near sideline.
A beautiful moment to try and use the sideline as an additional defender, but Ali's going to pick up.
And centres it. Theo McIntosh looks for the bid but cannot get there.
Swinson goes up for the around backhand from Troy Stevenson.
Finding Fulton in the middle, who looks for Troy Stevenson on the near sideline. Theo McIntosh matched up against Troy Stevenson at uni games as well, so hopefully this time he's shutting him down.
And we have Boardman on the disc. Pops one through to Swinson for the score. MDC S.W.O.R.D going up again by 2. 2 points away from taking half-time in the bronze final. Credo snapping at their heels. Credo definitely not napping.
They've got far too much energy in that team to be napping. Maybe after the game.
What a great leading pass by Stevenson to have Boardman with the disc right on the edge of the end zone.
Besling on the chase but not quite able to get there this time.
And just Besling was right on her heels. It's that that left-handedness, I think. Peter Boardman making sure that his pivot, it's much easier to throw a short backhand than it is a forehand. So had he been a right-handed player, he might have been a little bit out of position. The disc might not have had as much kindness to it. So taking into account those little individual differences between players can make such a huge impact on the field when you're looking at closing out points in such close quarters.
Yes, and a forehand, a short one, is so much harder to read than a short backhand. Just the way that the body leads into the backhand makes it so much easier to read it before it's even left the hand.
Absolutely. And we'll see whether or not Credo can respond with some close quarters of their own as we have Edwards with the disc. Hodgman manages to shake free of the defense, puts a big shot up.
Courting and Justin Lee with the take.
3 dominant Credo receivers. We had Justin Lee, Megan Edwards, and Theo McIntosh in position to pull that one down, but it's Lee who walks away with it. 5-6 in favor of MDC S.W.O.R.D, but it's still only a 1-point game. The bronze final on day 3 of our tournament.
I thought for a second there you were going to tell me that Justin Lee was 5'6", and I was going to say I'm pretty sure he's a bit taller than that.
That 99 on the back's probably his jump rating for the inevitable New Zealand Ultimate video game. When we're trying to break players down by stats, Justin Lee, what a great read and a great reception to keep Credo in this game.
On the Credo lineup for this point, we have Martin Barnes, Richard Fernando, Lewis Golby, Jack Lewis. Is it Bryn Douglas with the pull, Madeline Tiang, and Becky Farr. Left my glasses at home today, team, so I'm sorry for any mistakes.
But there's Douglas with the big shot.
All the way to the end zone.
Lee Yo lets one rip, looking for Holly Mace, supported by Troy Stevenson. Tiang trying to close that one out. Lee Yo might need to holster some of those long shots. It's a couple that have gone towards that far sideline for us. Maybe a little bit more patience from that S.W.O.R.D offense. They cannot afford to keep giving the disc back to Credo. Credo are working hard. They are unwilling to make mistakes, and they are fighting hard to get the disc back when they do, as Becky Farr gets the disc on the far sideline, marked by Fulton.
Shoots it up line, but Yo gets in the way.
Just a reminder for those watching at home, we are playing a non-contact sport here at Bob Dean's Field in Christchurch. Great up line.
Yes, I think Madeline Tiang did have momentum towards the disc there. However, I do think Yo also got to the disc first, but it is hard to tell from that replay.
I would say that while Yo had position, probably needed to recognize that Tiang did have that momentum. So we're going to see that again. He did pick a line that was cutting across the front of Tiang, but they'll make a call.
I think you also have to have awareness for where running players' attention is. So I believe Tiang's focus would have been on the disc on her right shoulder. So
Yeah.
she probably wasn't looking ahead at players.
Yeah, trying to track that disc as it came over the shoulder on that far sideline means as she turned around to see the disc in front of her, Yo would have popped up like a jack-in-the-box and ended up in that collision. So we're just going to wait for those.
You missed an opportunity to say like a yo-yo there.
I think I would get in a lot of trouble if I were to do that.
Okay, I will retract that comment.
Yo's partner, Maddie Hayward, a good teammate of mine for Auckland Euphoria. I don't think I'd be invited back to play for them next season if I made a comment like that. Okay, looks like that might have been a contested call. So the disc is going to go back.
And an injury sub for Tiang. Oh!
Tries to go up and around, and it's Peter Boardman who's going to get the block to give possession back to MDC S.W.O.R.D. Crosby with the disc, and a call in the downfield. Or possibly in the upfield, maybe contact on the disc. Crosby pops over to Stevenson.
Jack Lewis on the mark.
Threads through to Fulton. Little offload to Boardman. Shoots one through to Crosby as S.W.O.R.D go within one of the score.
And that is a clean hold on the final possession. Only one turn, giving Credo one shot at that.
Great work there. Great touch by Peter Boardman there. Sees Fulton working to space, gets the offload. Crosby with lots of room between him and his defender. Wide open in the end zone for the score.
Yes, Credo not quite contesting those last few passes as much as they have earlier in that point.
So 3 points, no, not 3, 2 points in it. MDC S.W.O.R.D only up by 2. Credo still plenty of time to pull this game back and to take ownership of the bronze final in the 2022 Division 1 Mixed Ultimate Championships.
Do we think Chris Barker picked out the bright blue shorts because I mentioned the shorts yesterday, or silent protest?
I think it's a nicer transition than the black. He sort of blends in a little better. There is some blue on the MDC uniform, but he's definitely there as a standout.
Let's see if he's a standout player for this point.
As for whether or not he should be wearing non-matching shorts on a live stream is a matter for debate for the community.
Credo not moving, so is there a violation being called?
Looks like the call is about a gender pull. So, no, the curse of the commentator. As you pointed out, Lydia, a player in a mismatched uniform.
So he's taking care of it on the sideline as we speak. He has found his red shorts.
He is hoping that there's no number mismatch between the jersey and the shorts, or there's potential for another uniform violation to be called. And now with 7 red shorted players to take the line for MDC. Crosby's going to send up the pull. MDC S.W.O.R.D need this break if they want to walk away with the half.
Credo sending it quickly to Megan Edwards, looking downfield.
Just manages to get the fingertips to it.
Giving it to Sam Lennartz on the near sideline, who puts it up for Jack Lewis. Miles of space. Who puts it up for Bryn Douglas. That is that U20 boys connection.
Absolutely fantastic vision there. Seeing those forehands come up with the edge that you can see on the screen, how they're fading back towards the center field. Couple of big shots. They look a little questionable, and then out of nowhere, these receivers just run onto the disc. So we'll see Edwards take it. And that's the shot from Taylor Nartz to Lewis. He sees Douglas on his left shoulder. Miles of space, reels that one in. 6-7.
And the unnecessary spike to finish.
Credo behind only by 1.
On the line for Credo, it looks like Justin Lee, Sam Cording, Adele Besling, Theo McIntosh, Caleb Milne, Tia Lennartz, and Tiarafai McGuinness.
So a female matching majority point here. 4 female matching players, 3 male matching players. This is one of the best changes to the recent rules. Our previous gender split was determined by an end zone. The teams playing from that end zone got to dictate what the gender split was. Now we've moved to what we call the ABBA. So every 2 points, the gender ratio will swap.
Yes, definitely preferential in my opinion. I only played 1 year with the previous rule that you just described, and even just thinking back, it seems archaic.
Holly Mace not able to get up underneath it, despite being a great receiver for the MDC S.W.O.R.D line. And I think that, Lydia, as you point out, that yes, it's a bit archaic, but it's recognizing that even in Mixed Ultimate, especially in Mixed Ultimate, the strength of the women has such an impact on the play. And so making sure that the women are getting that equitable play time.
Go, and Adele Besling wanted that disc, but it came in hot, fast, and low.
Holly Mace providing that a little bit of extra cover as well to shut that one down.
Yes. No, definitely. I think you can tell the difference between a mixed team with a lot of strong female handlers and downfielders versus one that is very reliant on its male players.
Absolutely. Quite often there's the sort of the joke or I guess, comment that a lot of mixed teams are actually open teams that happen to pick up ladies, and it's nice to see that at this level, particularly on Credo and also for DMT, there's huge amounts of play, making sure those ladies stay involved. Taylor Narts and Edwards doing a huge amount of work for the...
And Milne bids for it, but Crosby...
Boardman manages to pull that one down. Nice offload to Kat Fulton.
Justin Lee chasing rapidly, but not able to get in the way.
And a timeout has been called by MDC on offense. Meters away from their zone and only a point away from taking half. Now, just a little bit of knowledge for those at home. There are typically 3 timeouts allocated per team in a game like this. 1 per half and 1 floating. So without having taken a timeout so far, or having taken a timeout so far, they'll give up a timeout if they don't use it in this half. So it's a pretty solid call to make when you know you've got the scoring potential to put a point away and move into the second half of the game.
Yeah, I definitely agree, but moving into a more competitive space, you actually find that teams often use them more and more strategically. They're more aware of the fact that they
We'll
will
get
go
to see
waste.
Boardman again. What a
Huge
grab.
hops.
The timing on that jump. The leggy lefty doing what he does best.
Do we expect an ISO play from MDC, you think, at this point?
Well, Lydia, from this range, with the throwers on the field, we know that while Yo's had a little bit of trouble pushing towards that far sideline with the backhand, keeping it tight, keeping it focused. We might see some success from them.
And it looks like Troy Stevenson setting up on his own on that side of the end zone. Credo now getting to set up their defense. After a timeout, the team on offense gets to set up first before the defensive team gets to set up.
And so what we're going to have is Lee Yo with the disc, Peter Boardman about 45 degrees back from him, distance of about 10 meters as a reset option. Troy Stevenson capitalizing on that far sideline all alone. The rest of the players keeping out, giving him as much space as possible to work, trusting Justin Lee to shut him down in a one-on-one.
Over where the MDC stack is, we see the Credo women opting for more of a bracket style of defense.
The disc has to go back to Boardman. Back to Yo, far sideline. Coming slightly out of range now. Stevenson fills in the handler space.
Fulton now receiving, looking at that forehand option, instead choosing to swing to Troy Stevenson, finding Yo on the far sideline.
Yo puts a laser beam up to Boardman for a quick reset to Stevenson.
And he shoots it round, finding Tessa Swinson.
And that is going to be enough for MDC S.W.O.R.D to take the first half in our bronze final. Credo still in it, only 2 points behind, but a very powerful showing from the MDC S.W.O.R.D in the first half. Credo, the hometown heroes, need to make a couple of changes as we move into the second half if they want to walk away with a medal. But we will be back for the exciting conclusion of this match very, very shortly. My name is Blair Munro.
And my name's Lydia Smith.
And we are proudly supported by the team at ulti.TV. Head on over to patreon.com/ulti.TV if you like what you see. Help us bring you the very best in ultimate coverage here in New Zealand, Australia, and around the world. But until then, with some highlights from our first half, we'll be back with you very soon. And we are back for the second half of the bronze final match on the third day of our tournament, the 2022 Division 1 New Zealand Mixed Ultimate Championships. Credo versus MDC S.W.O.R.D.
And Adele Besling with the pull, absolutely massive.
The hometown heroes to come out on defense, as it is Crosby, Ali, and Stevenson in the handler space.
Theo McIntosh on the disc, putting on a mark.
Besling shuts down Charlesworth.
And Credo get a turn.
Crosby tries to get it, but the pressure from Hodgman and Cording to secure the block means Swinson can't keep that one in hands. That is a crucial break opportunity for Credo to keep them in this game. We're going to have Megan Edwards and Nick Hodgman pick up to initiate.
Megan Edwards looking to her reset, sending it backwards to get that. And Tiarify Magnus.
Despite a great play by Kat Fulton, it's Besling who's going to come away with it. Amazing to see when you have players get the first and last touch on a point, starting off with the first throw for the pull, closing it out with the final grab.
And the first break of the match for Credo.
Great work. Hodgman going up and over. Huge play by Fulton to try and shut that one down. But it goes McGuinness to Lee to a wide open Besling.
Safe hands as always with Adele Besling.
And so back to 1 point in it. It is 8-7 Credo to come back out on defense. Another break puts them back on serve.
And it shows that they can break this MDC team, so they only have to do it again.
Some of the first people to teach me about the sport of Ultimate have often said, you only have to play 10 seconds of good defense. Really locking down the mark, having that really aggressive player on the disc, shutting down easy options, means that when those high stall count throws come out, they're not as precise as you might like, and that's where those errors start creeping in, especially when you've got that lean line, you've got that fatigue. But it's Bryn Douglas with the pull. Good to see him back on the field.
This one just lands out of bounds.
And Yo gives the signal to Brick the disc.
Watch out, Brad, there's one behind you.
Mace and Bender testing Bryn Douglas in the deep space. We are seeing Credo play its own, and Justin Lee is able to stop it on the reset. Right around the brick mark, only 18 meters to go.
Using that long wingspan.
He tried to find Ali, but couldn't get the disc there in time. Exactly as I was saying, you only need to play 10 seconds of good defense, or in Justin Lee's case, you only need to play 2. Great heads-up awareness. Douglas has the disc.
And
puts
he
a hammer
throws
up.
a hammer to Jack Lewis. That U20s boy connection is showing through again.
Great work by the Credo side to pull it back to a tied game. This is a huge moment for the Southern squad.
Absolutely massive grins on the team's face. Electric energy over at that end zone.
It's really amazing to see that play out in slow motion, because the first fake from Yo got Justin Lee to move across, and then Yo threw anyway into space that was occupied by Lee. A little bit more patience might have kept them in possession, but then Douglas, marked by Stevenson, puts a huge hammer down. Boardman's not going to be able to close that one off.
Justin Lee wanted that one, but Jack Lewis was there.
Would have been a great little hat tip for Justin Lee to get the score, a bookends or a double happiness to get the block and then conclude the point with a score. It's a huge little honor on the field, but it's Douglas with the pull again. Credo hoping to do it one more time. Richard Fernando with a huge chase, but as the disc touches inbounds, fielded by Crosby to Boardman. Jack Lewis on the mark. Somehow Boardman's able to get that one.
Finds Tessa Swinson unmarked on the sideline, and it is shot long to Yo in the end zone.
And that is MDC going back up by 1. A very, very clean hold. Although a very, very sketchy reset on that early pass. It was a huge amount of pressure from the Credo defense. Not quite sure how Crosby managed to get that one through to Boardman.
Ow! Yeah.
That was a very high release, offhand, backhand, right around the mark. So there was nothing smooth about it. It was all wrist snap, driven over the shoulder of the defender, and that was a miracle throw that really opened up the entire point as Boardman fires one up to Swinson, gets the quick reset, drops the long bomb when he sees Yo in the end zone. Fernando just a couple steps behind, otherwise in great position to make a play on that one. S.W.O.R.D up by 1. Anna Crosby has the disc, supported by Laylee Bender. Crosby again. Altaf Ali, Coach Chris Barker. Holly Mace. And Kate Charlesworth.
Tia Lenart's putting up the brick signal as the disc lands out of bounds. To support her, we have Megan Edwards and Caleb Milne.
Yeah, and it looks like the fatigue really is starting to pile up on the MDC S.W.O.R.D line. They're a lot less precise with what they're doing. Those pulls coming out of bounds was Credo staying fresh, keeping clean. It's good to see. Taylor Nards, Caleb Milne on the near sideline.
Not afraid to take it right up to the sideline and then shoot it up the line to Milne, who shoots it back. No.
James Crosby is a huge player in the deep space. Manages to get the read, recenters to Bender. Anna Crosby. Back to Ali. Hodgman sends it wide to Barker.
Marked by Milne.
Ali again, hoping to get around the aggressive defense of Hodgman. Finds it in a crowded space, and Hodgman gets the touch to generate the turn.
I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but Barker's shorts do indeed have a different number to his top.
Big thanks to Liam Haberfield, clearly giving up his shorts to to minimize the impact of a uniform violation. But it's Finn Walker with the disc in the center field, finds Milne. A little bit of a bobble, but he's got it in hand. Hodgman's
shoots it round to McGuinness, who can't quite reel in that high shot.
Great pressure defense by Ali to help generate that turn. Hodgman was wide open in the deep space. Could have been a great time to throw a hammer, but that safe offense ended up giving a turn back thanks to Ali, but it's Barker with the disc now. Crosby comes out with it over Hodgman.
Fakes off the long shot and pops it over.
Find Bender, marked by McGuinness. To Ali, far sideline. Big left shot. Crosby's got it.
And NDC with another break on Credo.
The score back to a 2-point margin. A little bit more length on that shot from Caleb Milne would have been the one.
Great hops from Tiarafai though to try and get to that disc.
And the big shot goes up. Hodgman in pursuit, but it's not gonna go his way. Crosby putting one on the board. It really is astounding when you think about it. And I think a lot of players and teams tend to take this kind of thing for granted. But looking at the MDC S.W.O.R.D line, you've got some of these players playing 3-4 points back-to-back without taking a sub, never letting the intensity up. It really speaks to the determination and also the preparation they've put into this tournament. But it's Anna Crosby with the disc.
Puts it up.
Keeps it in bounds this time. Just skips past the far sideline.
Impressive.
And S.W.O.R.D are going to be sending down a zone defense.
Katia Lenartz with the disc, sending it back to Caleb Milne, creating some movement between the two players, but not for long. Katia Lenartz again, shooting it over the top to Justin Lee with the scuba, who finds Sam Cording in the middle.
Goes back to
Milne to Justin Lee, back to Sam Cording, to Megan Edwards. This is some beautiful offense by Credo.
And again, we've spoken a number of times this tournament, Lydia, about, a foul called on that one. So players will just figure out whether any contact occurred. And it looks like Gibson has immediately accepted that foul. So Edwards will retain possession.
It's brilliant to see players sort that out so efficiently on the field. Back to Katia Lenartz, who fakes off the scuba option, shooting it instead to Caleb Milne.
You could tell she wanted to send that scuba again.
Her scubas are beautiful.
They really are. And we've talked about the different ways of breaking through a zone to sort of go around the front of it as we're seeing now, but not being afraid to go over the top.
I think they are one of the nicest over-the-top throws that I've ever caught. They come in so nice and soft and they're so accurate. Milne back to Katia Lenartz, and gives us another scuba to Justin Lee for the score.
Credo back within one. Credo sending a message in the second half. We're not afraid of you on match defense. We're not afraid of you on zone.
We will break you.
Absolutely. We will challenge and test those 1v1 matchups. And if you try and send 3 down on us, we're just going to go over the top. It's beautiful to see such control with those overheads as well.
Definitely. Even as the disc turn changes direction in the air, it still needs to go exactly where it wanted to go. I do love the little leg lift to get it up.
Was beautiful form there, and just so few positional adjustments that Lee had to make to get underneath it. And that part of that is trust, but it's also control of the disc. It's recognizing I've seen Kat throw that how many scubas across the course of a season. I know where this one's going to end up. She's obviously seen me in the deep space. She's put the scuba up. It's going to be within a meter of me at the end of it. And just a great score there for Credo, and a break opportunity here if they want to come back on serve.
On the Credo lineup, we have Jack Lewis, Sam Lenartz, Martine Bounds, Becky Farr, Bryn Douglas with the pull, Natalie Tiang, and Lewis Goldby.
Crosby back on field, finds Yo. To Ali, unmarked. Uncorks a big lift looking for Stevenson, marked by Taylor Lenartz.
And
that is going to be Troy Stevenson with it in the end.
Sam Lenartz opts instead for the tackle technique, but I don't think that's regulation approved.
He's going to go for another one, a cheeky body check. Troy Stevenson, a reasonably divisive figure in the New Zealand Ultimate community, but it is hard to deny his presence in the end zone. We're going to see it again. The big left backhand from Ali.
And just height, I think. Sam Lenartz was looking for it, but his hand was a little bit lower.
Absolutely, and getting to watch back that replay, you could just see the difference in how far their feet were off the ground. Taylor Lenartz really tried to push it, whereas I could probably barely have pushed a pizza box underneath Troy Stevenson's feet at that point.
You did. He'd probably be too high up above the disc.
And so MDC S.W.O.R.D with an opportunity here to widen the score yet again if they can generate a break. Credo needing this point to stay back within 2.
On the Credo line, we have Sam Taylor-Nuts, Kat Taylor-Nuts, Natalie Young, Becky Farr, Bryn Douglas, Jack Lewis, and Richard Fernando. Testing my eyesight.
Yo sends the big pull up.
And it just lands out of bounds.
A veteran tactical leave by Bryn Douglas. Just that patience to see where the disc touches down. Can we get the positional advantage of being able to brick the disc? The answer is yes.
It also slows down the play, sets a slightly different tempo for the first throw of the game point.
Douglas goes up and high. Taylor-Nuts.
Douglas shooting long, but Sam Taylor-Nuts exercises caution, looking for Jack Lewis, but the throw is too high.
As Jack Lewis turns around to see who it might have been, Ali pops on across to Fulton. Puts a shot up, hoping for the assist. Is Ali underneath it? Yes, he is. MDC S.W.O.R.D managing to convert a break off a possibly questionable look to center the disc and bring it across to Jack Lewis. Great vision there and great put by Fulton. See, we see that again. Had a lot of loft underneath it. Jack Lewis wasn't sure who it was for. And Ali's able to snap that one up. Put through to Kat Fulton, who unleashes a beautiful forehand. Run down for the score.
Sam Taylor-Nuts can have some of the best vision on field, seeing options that other players just do not see, but it is absolutely crucial that those other players are ready for it. I'm not sure if Jack Lewis, when ready, would have been able to get airborne and get that disc or not.
Yeah, it is one of those weird things that you notice, particularly when you play more in a handler space. You start seeing space and options downfield that you may not be aware of if you spend most of your time as a cutter looking to receive those shots. And as you say, Sam Taylor-Nuts does have amazing vision. He saw that space wide open, knew he could put a disc out there, and I guess was trusting Lewis to take those few steps upfield to be in position ready for the disc. Just that little bit of miscommunication, and MDC S.W.O.R.D able to capitalize off that one. Crosby puts another one out of bounds.
Nick Hodgman this time calling the brick. The Credo handlers are being patient to make sure if the disc is going to land in or out of bounds. To support Nick Hodgman, we have Kat Taylor-Nuts looking ready and Megan Edwards.
And we can see already MDC setting up a zone. It's going to be Barker, Charlesworth and Swinson.
To Edwards, back to Kat Taylor-Nuts, finding Hodgman up the line. He looks to send it, but holsters, puts it around to Megan Edwards.
Swinson tries to close, slowing things down before Barker can clamp the jaws shut.
Centers
but it goes
to Kat Taylor-Nuts, finds Hodgman coming towards the near sideline again. Who shoots it? Looking for Adele Besling, but needed a little bit more height and float on that disc.
Yeah, the outside edge was just a little bit high, means the disc blades back towards the center field, giving the disc over to MDC S.W.O.R.D.
Had that throw come off though, Adele was in miles of space and had a support player behind her.
Yeah, really good option taking there by Nick Hodgman. Just that execution needs to be tightened up a little bit against a team this aggressive. Boardman with the disc by McIntosh to Barker.
Hodgman on the mark, trying to stop that big huck.
Boardman with a big lift.
Finn Walker on the chase, but not quite speedy enough.
Again, Boardman seeing Crosby go deep, and it looks like a timeout has been called.
I think that was the right call there. He did not have any support around him. They were hustling to chase, but this gives his team the time to set up and take a breath before shooting that final shot, or so they hope.
Absolutely. One of the worst things you can see as a downfield receiver is to look back upfield and see the entire rest of your team 15, 20 meters away, knowing there's a mark right in front of you, putting that stall count on, eating up those precious seconds before it generates an automatic turnover. And so a great call by Crosby to call timeout there and just to give the offense an opportunity to set themselves back up before play resumes.
And that throw was so close to carrying the player into the end zone for the score as well. It would be a shame to rush the offense.
Okay, but we'll be back after this timeout to see what strategies these teams are taking into this next possession very shortly.
We believe mixed is the best for the sport, for the world. That's why we're making a global showcase, starting in Europe, made in Amsterdam. Ulti.TV, ulti.net.
All right, both teams breaking the huddle. The offense to set first, looking like they will try the same isolation play that we've seen them do, trusting their players to make those one-on-one matchups. It's Kate Charlesworth in isolation for this one. A great midfield receiver, a great cutter, pressing the downfield, quite confident with the disc, but really secure hands. Unsure who she'll be matched up against if Credo want to shut down this opportunity. Looks like Taylor Lenartz is going to try and close off the isolation option of Kate Charlesworth. As Crosby brings the disc back in. Taylor Lenartz does her job, puts a high backhand across.
And Chris Barker has the read and the grab.
And that's going to be MDC back up by 4 over Credo's 9. 81 minutes into our 100-minute game.
Oh, Hodgman was under it, but it looked like some Credo on Credo contact there did not help the team.
Yeah, great work by the Credo defense to shut down that first option. And great heads up by Theo McIntosh to try and help close that space. But well done to Barker for pulling that one in despite double coverage. And we're going to get to see Kat Fulton with the disc for the pull this time. Some of you who have been following our recent streamed events in New Zealand for a while may remember Kat Fulton from the New Zealand Under-20s women's team for our recent Trans-Tasman series. It's great to see her back on this field for MDC S.W.O.R.D.
Alongside teammate Tessa Swinson from the U20 squad as well. Credo would have liked to field Ocean Sinard as well against those U20 players. However, she has been taken out of this season with unfortunate concussions at those tournaments. You will see her walking around supporting Credo though nonetheless.
And really that's what it all comes down to. It's recognizing that whether you're on the field or not, you're a part of a team. And it's a team that wins these games, not the individuals. One more pull out of bounds. It's going to give center field space and a lot of lateral support to the Credo side as Edwards walks the disc up.
Supported by Katia Lenartz and Nick Hodgman on the sides.
Crosby and Mace starting off the defense. On our far side, we've got Laylee Bender.
Edwards swings quickly to Katia Lenartz, who puts up a curvy backhand, which is salvaged by Nick Hodgman after the bid.
Great play by Crosby to get a touch on that one, but the call is always catch your Ds.
Nick Hodgman gets a little up the line, shoots it to Theo McIntosh, but
it's Ali who gets the first and second touches on that disc to give possession back to MDC S.W.O.R.D. Kat Fulton center field, chips across to Ali. McIntosh shuts down the next one. It's Crosby, untouched, alone, no mark in sight.
Nick
He's got all the
Hodgman
time.
Catching up to his player.
To
Justin
Boardman.
Lee on the mark. Theo McIntosh catching up to his player.
Kat Fulton over McGuinness. Can she throw her second assist of the game? It's Ali.
Looks at the option, But there is an injury to fan favourite Theo McIntosh.
Looks like a slight knee injury, so he'll take a substitution.
That looks like Richard Fernando coming on to cover his space. And at the same time, MDC is using a sub, bringing on Tessa Swinson.
And giving Anna Crosby a bit of a rest. Richard Fernando, not a bad substitution for Theo McIntosh, if you ask me.
Yes, nobody else will be Theo McIntosh, but Richard Fernando is a great player in his own right.
James Crosby again over Hodgman. That's at least 3 points, I think, in this game alone, putting a huge amount of work in, knowing that MDC S.W.O.R.D are only 1 point away from securing a bronze medal. There's no other games for either of these teams to play after this. It's a safe time to really unthrottle the engine and just let everything out on the field.
Yes.
Crosby with a great touch, but Hodgman layout bid to keep it alive. What a touch, what a beautiful block. It's just a shame for MDC S.W.O.R.D that Credo were able to keep it in hands, and a huge boon for Credo to be able to get it back. And then that wide shot. Ali with a clean bid through over McIntosh.
And that was a beautifully placed throw. Nick Hodgman was tight on his mark, but the throw was just set up for Crosby's space.
Absolutely, and it's one of those great throws that recognizes your receiver's got long arms. If we put it out and over the top of them, they'll be able to reach it away, reach the disc as it falls away from them and pull down the score. But it's Yo with the disc for the pull for what MDC S.W.O.R.D are hoping is to be the final point of the game. Credo.
Edwards with the pickup. Katia Lenart's in support, and Edwards shoots it to
Bryn Douglas,
who finds Katia Lenart's in the centre. Back to Megan Edwards to Bryn Douglas.
Charlesworth on the mark.
Shoots a curvy one over the sideline to his mate Jack Lewis.
Back to Fernando, to Lewis, to Fernando again. The defense isn't in position. Lewis on the doorstep. Big hammer across field.
Oh!
Starts to fade.
Absolute massive bid from Becky Farr on the far sideline of the end zone.
A huge bid, but the disc started to fade away, giving possession back to S.W.O.R.D. It's Boardman to Swinson. Becky pouring the pressure on. Lets one through to Boardman. A big rip looking for Mace and Ali. It's Mace for the score and the game. And the conclusion of both of these teams' campaign in the 2022 mixed season. Marvelous DC S.W.O.R.D from Auckland walking away with a bronze medal. Credo heading home with heavy hearts. But it is my sincerest hope they hold their heads high. They have put on such a fantastic performance for us this entire tournament. Becky Farr with a great bid, trying to keep that one in. Jack Lewis, what a hammer.
It was the right vision at that moment. The throw just didn't quite make it to the player.
And there's the backhand. Ali for coverage if it's needed, but Holly May says, I've got this, buddy.
Three defenders closing in, but again, that disc was just set up for the MDC player.
And a huge bid by Fernando to try and shut down the disc as it leaves Boardman's hand, but it's not gonna be enough. MDC walk away with medals around their necks. And Credo, I hope they take a huge amount of pride in the way they've played this tournament. 2 universe point finishes to conclude pool play, to make their way to the semi-finals and subsequently the bronze final. My goodness, I am almost without words. But we will be back with you very, very soon for the final match of our 2022 Division 1 New Zealand Mixed Ultimate Championships at Rainy Bob Dean's Field in Christchurch. Hoodie Putty from Wellington versus Marvelous DC Shield. But until then, my name is Blair Monroe.
And my name's Lydia Smith.
Thank you very much for watching.
Bichon picks up, and they've got a short field. They've got another goal. It's tied up at 12. I cannot believe what I'm seeing
Can
here.
Lola Dam chase that one down? That is a score for Hartlinger Elferkel. Fantastic run by Julia Love.
We're on a mission to make Ultimate huge.
And we believe that that requires knocking down the paywall.
We want our videos and live streams to be free to watch, and we want them to go viral.
When you become a member, you enable us to improve our working relationships with tournament organisers, events and federations.
And you'll help us to produce live stories for Ultimate fans, and to generate new fans with our enhanced content.
We are a group of Ultimate players, coaches and video enthusiasts, and we want to bring you coverage on a more consistent basis. We want to make stories that not only reach you,
but also reach people outside the Ultimate community.
Ciao ragazzi, support the community.
Let's subscribe ulti.TV. There's lots of the videos, posting, everything. Check it out. They are the best one. Woo!
If you want to grow Ultimate Sport, become a member of ulti.TV.
Regardez ulti.TV. Deviens un membre d'ulti.TV et fais grandir ta communauté.
Top ulti.TV. Bölümü erogin kime Ultimate vendromene.
Si quieres ayudar a ulti.TV, puedes ser miembro de ulti.TV.
Everyone, follow ulti.TV on Instagram, on YouTube. They've got everything.
Best content.
Like their pictures if you love frisbee. Just do it.
We're counting on you.
Bli medlem på ulti.TV.
Became member
of ulti.TV.
Mamma mia.
Contribue au développement d'Ultimate avec ulti.TV.
Like and subscribe, ulti.TV, the best in the world.
We want to grow Ultimate.
we want to grow Ultimate. We've worked with the major federations and the greatest events.
We have our signature style 2-camera setup,
With thousands of hours of experience,
and our crew is globally dispersed to facilitate coverage everywhere around the world. We can also scale back our broadcast with just one elevated camera, or scale up with 2 fields, 2 cameras, and 2 commentators on each.
we work with local teams and we all have the same mission, to grow the sport and bring it to new people by providing live coverage and new stories.
Become a member today on our Patreon page.
And fund our work to cover more events in the future and to bring more stories, ideas and live coverage to the eyes of the Ultimate world and beyond.
ulti.TV